Good afternoon, I'm Annabelle Regan with 2NURFM Hunter News. Hunter Labor MPs are calling for action against unregulated behaviour in the vocational, education and training sector. They're targeting third-party educational providers who participate in unethical practices and get-rich-quick schemes which leave students with large debts and no qualifications. The Shadow Minister for Vocational Education, Sharon Bird, is currently meeting with students and staff at Belmont TAFE, followed by a forum in Cardiff later this afternoon with stakeholders and people who've been affected by unethical brokers. Charlton MP Pat Conroy says they will work towards protecting students.
And on the shonky operators, we've said that we'll work with the federal government to change the laws so that these guys can't access this debt as easily. They can't access vulnerable people and get them into debt. So there are ways we can fix that through changes to the law, and we've said we'll work with the federal government on that.
Work is set to begin on the duplication of Toole Street Bridge at Kooragang this week. The upgrade will improve traffic flow and cater for an increase in traffic due to future urban development in Port Stephens, the expansion of the airport and growth of industrial development on Kooragang Island. The work also includes building an underground barrier to prevent movement of old steelwork and adjustment to Telstra services on Toole Street. Hunter Regional Development Australia CEO Todd Williams says the next step is to connect to the National Highway.
Of course, now what we need to do is make sure that we're connected to the National Highway system, so linking Industrial Drive to the National Highway system, so Raymond Terrace to M1 link, and also duplication all the way up to Newcastle Airport. That's what we need to do next.
Newcastle Council has set its sights to next year's Newcastle Regional Show, with some councillors declaring their support for a show day public holiday. The council is moving to approve a public consultation process. Newcastle councillor Tim Crackenthorpe says he's a supporter of the show holiday for Newcastle.
Well, certainly have been a supporter in the past and will continue to be so. This is about consultation to find out what the community think, and that's the most important thing. The Minister won't endorse this unless there's broad community support, so we'll go out seeking the view of the public.
Meanwhile, Newcastle councillor Brad Luke says a show holiday will be costly for Newcastle.
It'll cost a fortune and it will be extremely confusing. Creating these sort of things will be absolutely terrible for Newcastle. It doesn't create any extra activity. It shuts many things down, and any businesses that is doing something in Newcastle will simply move it to another area outside of Newcastle, such as Maitland.
The rehabilitation of Belmont wetlands is being hindered by foxes preying on the park's large number of endangered species. More than 40,000 plants have been added to the former BHP site in an attempt to encourage and facilitate wildlife. A fox baiting program is underway in a bid to rectify the issue. Chairman of the Belmont Wetlands State Park Trust, Greg Wright, says those with pets in the area should be mindful.
Yeah, we'd advise people to keep dogs on leash throughout the areas of the park and be extremely careful, not to let them go off foraging because, certainly dogs are at risk.
Sport, thanks to our sponsor Warners Bay Sports Club.
The Knights will play the New South Wales Cup Grand Final on Sunday following their win over Mounties yesterday. Leading from the 9th minute, Newcastle were always looking strong despite a late fight back from Mounties, which saw the final score read 30-26. The Knights now face the Wyong Roos for the premiership and a shot at the National Cup on Grand Final day. The Jets are back in the winner's circle, even if it is just a trial match. The 1-0 win over the Central Coast Mariners yesterday is their first of the pre-season against an A-League club under new coach Scott Miller. It will also be their last trial game before their season starts in Wellington in October. And Gosford have upset Norths in the Hunter Coast Premier League Hockey Grand Final with a 2-1 win on Saturday. Norths were looking strong in their attempts to defend their title until 2 goals from Robbie Maguire put the trophy out of reach and sealed the win for the minor premiers. Central won the Women's Grand Final with a 1-0 win over South after also winning the minor premiership. That's Sport. I'm Georgia Lupton.
2NURFM News Time is 12:10.